anyway, the Government Accountability Institute has been looking into what is now the funding of these radicals. You know, we hear about AstroTurf. We know about paid protesters. You know, how widespread is this? And is it a danger to the country? Now, anyway, Seamus Bruner is with us, Director of Research at the Government Accountability Institute, with Peter, author of Control Oligarchs. Andy Ngo is a journalist, well known online, best known for reporting on Antifa and far left extremism. He authored a book, Unmasked, Inside Antifa's Radical Plan to Destroy Democracy. It's fascinating. We've been hearing from Democrats, oh, Antifa is not real. It doesn't exist. Now, both of them were invited to President Trump's roundtable on Antifa. I think it was last week. And both of them were questioned extensively about their knowledge, what they know about the funding of these organizations. And we welcome both of them to the program. Seamus Bruner, good to have you back. Andy Ngo, good to have you. Welcome aboard, both of you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Sean.
Seamus, look, if there's no money behind it, and in a lot of these instances, you have AstroTurf or paid protesters, and then you have groups that have other agendas that want to agitate crowds and create a violent environment. I mean, that is a clear and present danger to cities and towns around the country. Your thoughts?
Yeah, exactly right, Sean. The Protest Industrial Complex, or Riot Inc., as we're calling it, and thank you for the shout-outs for Peter Schweizer. You know, Sean, that we follow the money. Riot Inc. is extremely networked. It's very coordinated, and it is flush with cash. Over $100 million is what I told the president last week. We crunched the numbers, did a full cash analysis on this No Kings Day of Defiance this weekend. Of the dozens of organizations that are either official organizers or official partners, we have found almost $300 million coming from the very top. And it's extremely ironic that these protesters, they hold up signs that say, no kings, no billionaires. Well, that is who is backing the entire thing. We found, people, of course, like George Soros, but then you've also got Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Mark Benioff of Salesforce, and even some foreign billionaires, people like Hans-Jörg Wyss of...
Wait a minute. Mark Zuckerberg told me personally that he was no longer going to be funding this crap.
Well,
is he back funding it? Because he told me after 2020, and he told Jim Jordan in that letter that he wrote that he was out of that business and he felt like he was manipulated and lied to.
Well, he may not be funding right now this weekend, but the money that has flowed from his personal foundation, it's still in the coffers. I mean, this is over $50 million over the past 5 years. So if he's stopped, and I know that Bill Gates has also said he's stopped, giving $10 million, $20 million, $30 million to the Tides and Soros and Arabella funding networks, that money still can go a long way.
Yeah. Andy, I know you've been very active. You've been out and about, and your star has risen dramatically. Congratulations to you, in part because you courageously go out there and go amongst these groups of people, and you paid a very dear price for it back a while ago. You want to remind people what happened?
In 2019, whilst reporting in downtown Portland, I was ambushed in a mob beating, robbed, and punched repeatedly in the face and head, and suffered a brain bleed from that and nearly died. In 2021, also in downtown Portland, I was tackled to the ground and strangled, nearly choked out, barely survived that. And in both of those instances, nobody was ever arrested by the Portland police.
Andy, I got a question. Are you staying away from these protests this weekend?
I have. I've unfortunately have learned through these near-death experiences that these militants are willing to kill people that they mock as so-called fascists or Nazis. They lie about their targets so that one of their unhinged comrades will take actions to kill. And that's the danger of Antifa. And I think people have a misperception that because they are really fat or really skinny, that they're not dangerous, but they carry weapons and they work as a group that conspires to carry out crimes. I mean, 2 alleged Antifa members in North Texas were just federally indicted yesterday with federal terrorism charges, which is the first time it's happened in the U.S., by the way, amongst people accused of being part of an Antifa cell.
Now, Seamus, they have officially been designated a terrorist organization, a domestic terrorist organization, and I believe rightly so. Will that deter them? And do you fear what I fear could happen this weekend?
I think it would. Well, it won't deter the crazies, but what it will deter is the funding mechanisms, the people who have been involved in this. And I applaud President Trump's leadership on this designation, because like you said, Mark Zuckerberg has pledged to not be funding these types of activities, these unrest in the streets and the protest orgs and stuff like that. Bill Gates just 6 months ago or so said he would not be funding the Arabella funding network anymore. And he had provided a couple $100 million in years past. So what this is, and then you might have seen recently, Mark Benioff, the Salesforce CEO, called for National Guards to come into San Francisco. That is a huge reversal. He got a lot of heat from the left for that. And so what President Trump's leadership is doing is drying up the funding sources. Now, as far as the chaos actors on the ground, the people who are unemployed or maybe secretly employed, no, I think there's still going to be hot spots. I am in the free state of Florida. I don't worry about it here, but up in Portland and Seattle and Chicago, where these anti-ICE violent demonstrations have been going on, they're probably going to pop off just as they have been in the weeks past.
Andy, let me go back to you. Fox News reporting today, federal grand jury indicted 2 alleged Antifa members with terrorism-related charges for a July 4th attack on the ICE facility in Texas. For the first time ever, the FBI arrested anarchist, violent extremists and charged these Antifa-aligned individuals with material support to terrorism, according to the FBI Director Kash Patel. Politico reports today it's not only Jay Jones, the Virginia Attorney General candidate, that is caught advocating for political violence. Graham Plattner, who is running as an insurgent Democratic candidate for the Senate in Maine, once suggested online that violence is a necessary means of achieving social change and worse. Don Lemon, this just broke on Fox News before, suggesting that, quote, black and brown Americans, quote, of all stripes, quote unquote, should legally arm themselves in case immigration and customs enforcement agents show up at their doors. He said, the left hook, clarifying he's not condoning or promoting violence, but he was tired of the niceties while ICE agents are rounding people up off the street. If you believe in the Second Amendment, you believe in the Constitution, black people, brown people of all stripes, whether you're Indian American, Mexican American, whoever you are, go out in your place where you live, get a gun legally. Well, I mean, what's the implication behind that? I read deeper into what he's saying. He has a little caveat to protect himself, but I don't like it.
The implication is that left-wing political violence has become normalized and mainstream. In the last 12 months, there have been so many deadly attacks and attempted killings that people either aren't aware because of the lack of mainstream media coverage, or they've forgotten, or worse, they may think it's normal. Trump supporters have been killed, like in Butler. Tesla stores were shot up and set on fire. There was the ICE facility in July in North Texas that was shot up in an ambush shooting. There was the killing of Charlie Kirk. There was the deadly attack on the ICE facility in Dallas. And I can go on and go on and go on. And I just wonder, at what point is it enough?
All right, we continue our preview of all of these protest rallies, the No Kings rallies expected around the country all weekend. Please be safe and secure. Seamus Bruner is with us, Director of Research, Government Accountability Institute. Andy No, journalist, best known for reporting on Antifa. We continue, our lead up to what is going to be probably a scary weekend in a lot of towns and cities, and that is the No Kings protests around the country. Seamus, all these years I've known you, and all these years I've known Peter, and it just keeps getting worse. You would think after the 2024 election, the closing argument, racist, Nazi, fascist, Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini, that they might have learned something, but they don't. And it just seems to be getting worse every day. If you listen to Pritzker and Brendan Johnson and, a lot of these other elected officials, I'm like, what part of the environment we're living in are you people not understanding? Because there comes a point where we got to say, that they are inciting this in people by doing it. I always hold the people accountable that do it, but I mean, at what point are they being motivated by elected officials that are insane?
You're completely right, Sean. And unfortunately, the problem is even bigger than what we're seeing here on the surface. It goes very deep, all the way down into the school system. I mean, kids are being radicalized by these teachers. You saw them celebrating after Charlie Kirk's assassination. It starts at, the confusing of kids, the instilling Marxist values starts at a young age. And then once they're at the age of rioting, then they're being activated by the political officials, by these groups that are, the groups are not doing violence themselves, but they are enabling this entire ecosystem of the protest industrial complex. Like groups like the ACLU, an Antifa member out in Portland just admitted on video coordinating with the ACLU. And so it's a huge problem, and it's really big. And the Trump administration, I know, is every tool in the toolbox. It has a whole of government approach here, but it's going to take years to sort of deprogram the radicalization that it begins at a young age.
We'll give you, Andy, the last word.
I just wonder how many more people need to die before we wake up and say this is enough. I originally went out years ago with the videos because I wanted the public to see the brutality of what was happening on the streets. Because if it were not for the videos, we would continue to be gaslit just as we are right now if you turn on liberal media.
You know what? We've got to expose it. And you guys getting to the root of this, which is has a lot to do with the financing of it. I can't wait to read your next book and Peter's next book. And Andy, your investigative work. I appreciate both of you more than you know. You're doing the country a great service by doing it. And I want to thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.